Generational talent is different. Who are generationally talented quarterbacks to you?
I mean, present day or college kids?
If you go present
like in
day,
the NFL?
In the NFL, who's a
Lamar.
He ain't Lamar.
I'm not saying he's Lamar.
But it's the other thing, though. The people you're comparing him to, right? Like, let's just talk about the people you're comparing him to. You know what Lamar Jackson had by this point in college? A Heisman.
But Lamar played a lot more. He had stopped.
Because he was that good.
RC, Lamar's first start, he went 9 of 20 with a pick.
This is third start. Stop saying it's
against a real opponent.
It's his third.
Against a real opponent.
And also, too.
Okay, so we can go to
year in college.
But he hasn't played bowling.
Because you know why? Because if you're Trevor Lawrence and you're a
Ryan Clark completely lost it on Dan Orlovsky, and things got chaotic fast. It all started when Dan had the nerve to throw shade at Shedeur Sanders before the Lions even took the field. That was all it took for Ryan to snap, and what followed wasn't just commentary. It was a full-blown roast, a fiery clapback, and a football meltdown all at once. If you thought pre-game drama was dull, think again. This one's pure gold and already feels legendary.
ESPN Studios, as Ryan Clark completely destroyed Dan Orlovsky over his Arch Manning generational take. Now, we've seen Dan Orlovsky's bad take on Shedeur Sanders, and Ryan Clark has had enough. But we're gonna, guys, man, I'm here to tell you, man, it seems like Ryan Clark has had enough of Dan Orlovsky's bad takes when it comes to these quarterbacks. Now, we all seen and we've all heard Dan Orlovsky's take on Shedeur Sanders. We also seen him compare Dylan Gabriel to Shedeur Sanders.
Enjoying the show? Don't forget to subscribe. It helps more than you realize. The ESPN studio might never recover from what just went down. Ryan Clark didn't just enter the debate. He dropped a full-blown nuclear strike. And the target? None other than Dan Orlovsky, the quarterback analyst whose long list of questionable takes just got publicly obliterated.
Well, generational talent would be that you have physical attributes that are rare and unique. When did 6'4", 225 pounds, 4'5", 4'6" in the 40.
None of those things.
100%. He's 100% 6'4", 220 plus pounds, and is like 4'5", 4'6" in 40. Got clocked at 21 miles an hour on GPS. When did that not become at the quarterback spot generational physical ability, let alone elite, rare bloodlines when it comes to the quarterback position?
It all started with what seemed like a simple discussion about Arch Manning being a generational talent. Sounds harmless, right? Wrong. What was meant to be a calm, respectful debate about potential and hype quickly spiraled into absolute chaos.
He keeps on bigging up Arch Manning to make Arch Manning one of the greatest quarterbacks he's seen in college history. Now, there's a long list of quarterbacks that we can talk about in college that was great. But the thing about it is, Dan Orlovsky's takes on these quarterbacks, because Dan Orlovsky was a quarterback himself. And like I stated to you guys, man, Dan Orlovsky likes mediocrity. He likes mediocre players because he was a mediocre quarterback himself. And Dan Orlovsky takes on these quarterbacks is downright asinine. And Ryan Clark wastes no time in destroying everything.
Orlovsky, bless his heart, hopped on the Arch Manning hype train like a kid discovering candy for the first time. He boldly declared that Arch was the next big thing, a generational talent and the future of football. Meanwhile, Ryan Clark just sat there, watching with that look that said, "Oh, you're really about to do this, huh, asterisk."
How are we measuring it? Because we can't sit there and go, because of the way the first start on the road.
There's very few of them. I think there's less than what you think. I think John Elway was a generational talent. I think Patrick Mahomes is a generational talent. I don't think Tom Brady, I don't think Drew Brees, I don't think Peyton Manning are generational talents. I think Andrew Luck ended up being a generational talent. I don't think there's a ton of them out there.
But so then what? Then how does one, in your eyes, be a generational talent? Because
you're about to cross the line of reality, Ryan Clark warned, a smirk creeping across his face. And I'm going to enjoy every second of it. And then, in true Ryan Clark fashion, he did what he does best, He tore down the entire flawed system that lets mediocre former quarterbacks decide who's elite and who's overrated. Orlovsky started rattling off stats like a kid reciting a grocery list. Asterisk 6 for inch, 225 pounds, runs 21 miles per hour on GPS asterisk, but before he could finish, Clark stopped him cold and dropped the truth bomb. Asterisk, you don't need a speedometer on a quarterback to know if he can dominate. Asterisk, Arch Manning running the ball, he said, isn't the same as Lamar Jackson turning defenders into pretzels. In that instant, you could practically see Orlovsky's soul leave his body. The brilliance of Clark's clapback wasn't just in his facts, it was in his principle. Mediocre quarterbacks love mediocrity. It's almost scientific. They see themselves in average play, confuse potential with greatness, and defend hype over proven skill. And that's been Orlovsky's brand for years, downgrading real elite talent while propping up unproven prospects as if he's the guardian of generational greatness. Clark didn't just challenge that idea, he obliterated it. He walked into the studio with a verbal sledgehammer and demolished the entire gate. And truth be told, this was never just about Arch Manning. He was simply the bait that lured the whole system into the trap.
What it is that they're doing is they're treating Shedeur Sanders like a fifth-round pick. Right? We're not covering every fifth-round pick in the NFL hoping that he gets an opportunity to be the starter on day one. We felt like, oh my goodness, they got a diamond in the rough. Shedeur Sanders fell to the fifth round. They felt like they evaluated him there.
The real victim in all of this. Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback who's been proving himself at every level, carrying entire programs on his back, and still getting shrugged off by analysts who wouldn't recognize elite talent if it smacked them in the face. Clark didn't even have to say Shedeur's name to make his point. By dismantling Orlovsky's logic, he exposed exactly why players like Shedeur get underrated while overhyped three-star wonders get labeled as generational talents. Then things got spicy. Clark turned his sights directly on Orlovsky's credibility, and that's when he dropped the line destined to live forever in sports media history. I don't care what that little vest you wear on top of your nipples says. Boom. It dropped. The absurdity of Orlovsky trying to defend his stats, analytics, and empty hype while being buried under Clark's logic and experience was almost cartoonish. It was like watching a guy build a sandcastle right before a tsunami. Only this tsunami was named Ryan Clark, and he came armed with receipts, and those receipts. Brutal. Clark pointed straight to the real generational quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, Lamar Jackson. Players who don't wait for permission to dominate, who don't ride the bench or chase Instagram likes. They change teams, redefine systems, and make critics eat their words. And then there's Shedeur Sanders, walking into programs like Jackson State and Colorado, rewriting the narrative every step of the way, and still being talked down. It's not just absurd, it's infuriating.
Preseason week 1. First option, Joe Flacco. He's played for like 20 years. He's not going to start preseason week 1. The next two options would be a Kenny Pickett or a Dylan Gabriel. Both are dealing with hamstring injuries. Neither has practiced a ton recently. If they've done anything, I believe it's been 7-on-7. Who do you want to start the game?
Honestly, it's hilarious watching Orlovsky squirm. This is where the sarcasm levels hit critical mass. In a desperate attempt to save face, he tries to explain away the entire narrative gap with, wait for it, *nil moneyed at *, as if that's a legitimate reason a quarterback can't assert dominance. Clark doesn't even blink. His response is razor sharp. Generational talent doesn't wait for contracts. It doesn't negotiate with mediocrity. It rises, forces decisions, and makes people acknowledge it, whether they like it or not. And he's right. Shedeur Sanders has done exactly that. Coaches have been forced to adapt to his presence. Entire programs have been elevated, and fan bases that were dead silent a season ago suddenly have life again. Meanwhile, Orlovsky is still clinging to his little vest, obsessing over GPS speed readings, and trying to justify hype over production. The brilliance of this exchange is that Clark didn't just defend Shedeur, he exposed an entire systemic flaw. Analysts like Orlovsky keep crafting narratives rooted in bloodlines, hype, and personal bias. They confuse potential with proven skill and elevate players who haven't earned a thing, all while undermining those who consistently perform at elite levels. It's not subtle, It's glaring, it's embarrassing, and Clark made dismantling it look effortless. Imagine being all off ski in that moment. You've spent your career tossing out stats like confetti, acting like the ultimate quarterback analyst, and suddenly, a former NFL player who actually knows what elite play looks like calls out every flaw in your thinking. You scramble to backtrack, mumble about different eras, toss in nil excuses, anything to soften the blow. But it's too late. The narrative is collapsing right in front of you.
Moves slowly, kind of trying to see what's going on, and then that creates that sack fumble. So a lot of the stuff that we just saw in college is a big deal. This ball gets snapped at the 48-yard line. Defense has won the rep. Play is dead. Throw the ball away.
Yep.
It's first down. But instead we run and it's a 2.5, 3-yard loss. So instead of being 2nd and 10, we're 2nd and 13. We're dead. Again, here's the opportunity to throw the juke route. Hold, scramble. So some of those things that I was and others were concerned about on the college tape showed itself again. This is not the end of the world, though. This is part of his development in becoming
is locked in, watching every second unfold. Orlovsky's credibility is evaporating faster than a snowflake in the sun, and yet the comedy just keeps coming. Clark isn't just attacking the numbers, he's dismantling the logic behind them. If Arch Manning can be called generational after just 3 career starts, what does that say about how the media evaluates players who have actually proven themselves? Shedeur Sanders doesn't need flashy highlight reels to prove his worth. The numbers speak for themselves, the stats, the wins, the clutch moments, the way he instantly elevates entire programs. But the media machine looks the other way, propping up hype while downplaying reality. The irony is almost poetic. Orlovsky, the man paid to evaluate quarterbacks, is getting a masterclass on real talent, while still trying to lecture the audience on potential and projection. Clark methodically tears apart the flawed system that undervalues players like Shedeur and glorifies mediocrity. The audience can see it, feel it. Orlovsky is floundering, and Clark is in complete control. It's beautiful chaos, but it's also bigger than just one debate or one analyst. Clark's takedown shines a light on the entire sports media culture, a system where players like Shedeur Sanders face uphill battles every day, not because they lack greatness, but because narratives are easier to sell than truth.
For the people that messaged me, Uncle Tom, or commented, fool, I do want to say something to you sincerely from the bottom of my heart, and that's kiss my I'm not going to holler sabotage and racism when I don't truly believe something is sabotage and racism. I did have a problem with the way Shedeur Sanders was covered in the pre-draft process. The anonymous reports demeaning a young man's character who had never done anything wrong away from the field, had never shown anything but leadership.
While analysts keep clinging to old biases, history, bloodlines, last names, anything but actually giving credit where it's due, Clark ripped the curtain wide open and exposed it all. And the best part? He didn't even need to make Shedeur the focus. By dismantling Orlovsky, he exposed the bias, the absurdity, and the double standards baked into the entire system. Then came the fallout. Orlovsky tried desperately to save face, rambling about physical measurables, GPS speed, and whatever that little vest of his was supposed to represent. Clark didn't blink. His message was clear. You can't measure heart, leadership, or the ability to transform a program with a speedometer. And you definitely can't justify calling someone generational after 3 starts while downplaying a quarterback who's been consistently dominating. That vest joke wasn't just funny, it was devastating. It perfectly captured the ridiculousness of letting analytics and hype overshadow actual performance. Real greatness doesn't negotiate, doesn't chase approval, and doesn't rely on marketing buzz. Shedeur Sanders is living proof of that. He walks into struggling programs, flips the script, delivers clutch moments, earns respect from veterans twice his age, and still, the media undersells him. Comedy gold, if it weren't so frustratingly true. And then Clark dropped the final hammer. The absurdity of labeling someone generational after just 3 starts. True generational talent doesn't need build-up or excuses. It dominates immediately, changes everything around it, and leaves an impact you can't ignore. Just look at Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, Lamar Jackson, all instant game changers. That's the standard. And by that measure, Shedeur Sanders isn't just in the conversation. He is the conversation.
While Shedeur may not have had reps with the ones, what else do you want them to do in Cleveland? It's an opportunity for him. It may not be the ideal opportunity. Very rarely is it for a 5th round pick, but it's an opportunity for him to go out there and do in a game what many have reported he's done in practice. Stop with the setup to fail narrative.
Sanders, same story. Meanwhile, Orlovsky is still sitting there obsessing over speed stats, completely missing the forest for the trees. The irony. Perfect. The comedy. Even better. But for anyone who truly loves the game, the frustration is off the charts. Because by the end, it becomes crystal clear, this debate was never just about Arch Manning, or Shedeur Sanders, or even Dan Orlovsky. It was about exposing an entire broken system. Analysts like Orlovsky are supposed to bring insight, context, and fair evaluation to the table. Instead, they recycle lazy narratives, hype unproven names, and tear down players who've actually earned respect. Ryan Clark dismantled that entire framework in one sitting, calmly, methodically, and with unshakable credibility. He didn't have to shout, didn't have to stretch the truth. He just held up a mirror, and the reflection was brutal. As for Orlovsky, he got exposed. His analysis crumbled under the weight of real football logic. Watching it unfold was like witnessing a masterclass in sports media accountability, and, honestly, a comedy special rolled into one. There's Orlovsky, stammering, scrambling to justify numbers and hype, while Clark quietly dismantles every argument piece by piece. It was like watching a slow-motion train wreck, if the train were loaded with bad quarterback takes and Ryan Clark was standing on the tracks, calmly tossing truth grenades into the wreckage.
And now you want me to say the one team that did decide to draft him doesn't have his best interests at heart. The thing is, he was a 5th round draft pick. 5th round draft picks get 5th round treatment, even if we don't feel like they deserve to be drafted in the 5th round. So you're going to play with some guys who don't make the team. You know who else you're going to play against? Some guys that don't make.
Look away. You want to look away, but the chaos is just too satisfying. By the time Ryan Clark was done, Dan Orlovsky's credibility was in tatters, and everyone watching knew it. Every analyst, every fan, every person tuned in had the same realization. If you're relying on Orlovsky to tell you who's elite and who's not, you might as well flip a coin, because real talent doesn't need hype. Real talent produces real talent forces recognition. And Shedeur Sanders is the embodiment of that truth. Calm under pressure, dominant on the field, and undeniable no matter how hard the media tries to minimize him. That's why this moment will live on in sports media history. Clark didn't just win an argument, he held up a mirror to an entire system, and the reflection was brutal, hilarious, and deeply satisfying. So the next time an analyst starts hyping a 3-star wonder while downplaying someone who's proven themselves at every level, remember this moment. Remember the chaos. Remember the little vest line. And most of all, remember Ryan Clark, dismantling an entire narrative with nothing but truth, composure, and a microphone.
It's time for Dion to let go a little bit, right? It's time for, if you're saying this about Shedeur, you get to say that now because I'm not his coach anymore. If Shedeur is dealing with this certain level of adversity, yeah, I'm on the phone with him. Yeah, I'm in his room and we're having conversations. But when he goes to work, he has to go to work as a man, right? Shedeur Sanders is going to be leading dudes that were like you in the league, that were like you, that were like me. At the time, you had kids and were married. I had kids and was married. Chan, you was a grown man that said, I could go in the streets every night and I could come in here.
Remember, at the end of the day, the tape doesn't lie. Results don't lie. Talent always forces recognition. Shedeur Sanders has proven himself at every level, transforming programs, delivering in clutch moments, earning respect, and still battling against unfair narratives. Analysts like Orlovsky will keep hyping mediocrity, clinging to measurables and nostalgia, but moments like this remind everyone why credibility and performance will always matter more than hype. Because real football speaks for itself. No filters, no spin, just results. And as for Orlovsky, maybe it's time to invest in a sturdier vest. Because the next time someone decides to hold him accountable, that little piece of fabric isn't going to save him from another Ryan Clark style.